tonight to have our next candidate with us, Mr. John Stephenson. There comes John. Thank you.
Just a little bit leery, speaking between a doctor and a lawyer. As an old school teacher, think about it. But there's lessons to learn here tonight. You know, I'm shooting a little video again. I shot that video of Senator Bunning giving his last farewell speech and the history of his background in baseball and politics. I remember singing for him when he ran for United States Senator. I remember when I changed from being a Democrat to a Republican. I remember when I was your superintendent of education for the state of Kentucky, elected on the ticket with Burton Jones. And I remember when they called me down to the state capitol and wanted me to endorse Bill Clinton. And that was after it came out about his background in philandering. And I said, no thank you. I won't come down and endorse him. And I didn't support him. And I voted for George Bush. And I became a Republican because of that, the moral issues, and the right to life issue. There was a lesson just up here that we filmed just a few minutes ago. How many of you in the audience know a fellow by the name of Timothy Geithner? Raise your hand if you do. He's our Secretary of the Treasury. A fellow that didn't quite understand the tax law himself. Strange, isn't it? But you notice up here an old saying by Ronald Reagan, trust but verify. When they sold the book, what did the gentleman do? He pulled out the cash out of his pocket and he paid for the book. There's a real lesson in that for our government. There's a real lesson in that for America. When we owe money to the Russians, we owe billions to the Chinese, we even owe the Mexicans $25 billion. The nation's at peril. These are serious times. I'm reminded, you know, we have to think of ways to save money. And as a school teacher, you really have to think of ways to save money. You see this little thing in my ear? My wife's always telling me, John, take it out. I say, okay, hon. But tonight I said, I'm going to put it in because I want to talk about it. My doctor calls me in and he says, John, you had a hearing problem. 3 years in a row I had a hearing problem. Walks me into the other room and says, John, here's the hearing aids, $4,000 a piece. Last year I came back in after the third year and I had this little thing in my ear and he said, what you got there, John? And I said, well, Doc, you told me I had a hearing problem. I bought this Bluetooth for $150. If my wife wants me, she can call me on the phone and hear everything she says. You got to improvise in life. That's what I've been doing all my life, improvising. But you see something? I was your outstanding young man in the state from the Kentucky JCs. I received an award as an outstanding citizen in the state from the Kentucky Education Association promoting public education. I was chairman of the board for the Goodwill Industries. I've emceed the Special Olympics for 35 years in a row. I've been to the state capitol the last 15 years in a row for the American Disabilities Act, singing a song for them. I filmed the history of all 120 counties in Kentucky and donated a set of the tapes to every county library in the state. And you know something? I love Kentucky. When the good Lord pulled me out of the bed and jerked me up and he said, John, this country has lost its moral fibers. Greed has taken over our institutions. Greed has taken over our purposes in life. We've taken God out of our schools, we've taken God out of our churches, we've taken God out of our businesses, and we've taken God out of our lives. And the country cannot resist that. It's falling off a cliff. We don't need to make a left turn. We don't need to make a right turn. We need to make a U-turn to God. That's the facts, ladies and gentlemen. Now, someone asked me if I was a minister the last time I gave that sort of speech, and I said, no, we're all ministers for God. But I'm telling you something, I'm a government teacher. And I understand when government's got serious problems. I understand the Constitution. And I understand that when George Washington was elected president, he went to his knees in prayer for the nation. What we need is a 24-hour prayer for this country to start turning back to God, doing what's right, paying our bills, understanding that we cannot have everything we want just because we want to pass something, understanding that we have got to do what's right for our citizens. We've got to have not a famine on truth, but truth and honesty from our politicians. Now, I've done something in this campaign when God got me out of bed and said run. He didn't say I was going to win, but he did say run. And I'm running a campaign on $5,000. You'll see no signs, you'll see no bumper stickers, there'll be no TV ads. But if you tune in to www.c2010.m2ts.com, you'll see my speeches. But you'll also see a speech of each of one of my opponents in fair play. Watch them all. Pick the voice that you think can lead this country. Pick the voice that you think can tell the truth. Pick the voice that can go to Washington, not tied to any special interest groups, period. The voice that understands advanced government, who can do something with this nation like no one else can do. Tell the truth unfettered. Be honest and do what's right for all the people. Now tonight, I brought my wife with me. And you know something? Any man smart enough to marry her is smart enough to be your United States Senator. Stand up, June. A licensed social worker who worked in the hospital setting for 9 years, who understands health care very well. And you know something about health care? For volunteering my time with the Northern Kentucky Medical Association, for 1 year, every week, I did a Your Health and Wellness television show. No pay, just to learn the health industry and to promote doctors and good health care. I produced more education shows than any other citizen in the state. Free. Free. You'll see my videos on lots of things across America. Free. Free. Why do I do it? Enlightenment. Education. Teaching. The student hasn't learned, the teacher hasn't taught. But when I first taught school, I made $6,000. Had to go into real estate, and I've been a member of the Board of Realtors for 35 years in Northern Kentucky as a broker. But I started the first political action arm for the school teachers called KEPAC many years ago. Today it's a very influential organization in campaigns. But you know something? The answer isn't in political action committees. The answer is in the mirror. Reach out and touch your brother's pulse. Just right now, touch the pulse of the person next to you. Reach over and grab it. Grab the pulse of the person next to you. You know something? That pulse knows no ethnicity. It knows no race. It knows no political party. It knows no faith. It is what? A gift from God. If Senator Mitch McConnell and Jim Bunning can stop the United States Senate on health care, we can pass a human right to life amendment tomorrow. It takes courage and guts to do what's right. I really love you guys. I tell you what, Golda, bless your heart you're not here.